All right, Zig coming in on the top. Today on the show, we have the return of the great Jon Langford. Jon is a singer-songwriter, guitarist, and multidisciplined artist. You might know Jon from the Mekons, the Pine Valley Cosmonauts, or the Waco Brothers. He was also in We Hairy Beasties and the Three Johns and the John Cat Band. I first came across Jon's music when he introed and did the narration for the Joe Strummer BBC radio program when they re-released it. Every episode started off with Jon Langford coming on and talking about Joe for a bit. But anywho, so I've been a fan of Jon's work for a long time, and we've had Jon on the show a few years ago when we dove really, really deep into his history. This is more of a quick catch-up with what the Mekons have going on. The Mekons have a new album out. It's called Horror, and there's a dub companion to the record, so they're putting out basically two records. There's like the straight through album called Horror, and then there's a dub remix of it. It's an incredible record. I think the first song, Western Design, hits very hard. Anywho, the Mekons are playing June 3rd at the Music Box Supper Club here in Cleveland, Ohio. If you're around Ohio or in Cleveland, that's a prime time place to catch it. It's a wonderful venue. They afterwards are having the Mekonic Disco. Not quite sure what that is, but it sounds awesome. So, June 3rd, here in Cleveland, Ohio, the Mekons are playing at the Music Box Supper Club. The new album is called Horror, like, oh, the horror, or that was a horror movie. Just to be clear, it'll be available on all the streaming platforms, and you can get a sick vinyl off the Mekons website or at a show. Now, Jon, during this conversation, me and Jon were bouncing back and forth a lot because I caught him during his travels. He was going from Boston to New Orleans, and so there's a lot of bumps in this conversation. It's rather short, but Jon went really deep. This was early in the morning, and for a man in the midst of travel, it was a really intriguing conversation. Jon is nothing short of inspiring, and so are the Mekons. Before we get to this interview, if you can like, rate, review, subscribe to the podcast on any of the podcast platforms, it helps me keep talking to cool guests like Jon and sharing their insights with you. And now we're about to embark on a magical journey with Jon Langford through the Boston airport. Hang tight. But yeah, where are you flying in from?
I'm going from Boston to New Orleans.
Okay. I mean, do you...
On a different airline. I'm going on Delta Airlines for some reason. Somebody else booked me my ticket, and I don't know, it's a whole I had to download the app. And
oh, God.
Stone Age man in the modern times. But I'm through now, and I'm sitting outside Chick-fil-A, which isn't open, thankfully. And I'm going to find my gate and go to New Orleans in about an hour. But I can talk to you now, so that's good. So where are you? Are you in Cleveland?
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to jump into it by kind of picking up where we left off in a way. Last time we chatted, you were playing at Blue Arrow Records here in Cleveland, and I wanted to know what your connection was with Blue Arrow Records and the Cat Sanctuary.
I think... where did the grog shop used to be?
The grog shop was in Coventry, so this was next to Blue Arrow Records was next to the Beachland.
Oh no, I know that, but
okay.
That's when I first met them. We were walking down to play a gig at the grog shop. I think it must have been maybe 1988 or 89, and we saw this shop, and it was like a vintage store run by Pete and Debbie, and they had decorated the entire window with a sort of Mekons homage, and we were completely taken aback the idea that someone would do that. We just became great friends with them, particularly also the Waco Brothers and the Sadies over the year. They kind of looked after us, and they would take us around Cleveland and let us stay at their house, always taking us down that strip in kind of Cleveland Heights. And they're just really good people. So, and then they started a record label. They started working with Jonathan Richman, and I've done a couple of things with them for that as well. And then they opened the record store. I think they had an antique store, a vintage store in the Beachland Ballroom at one point, but now they've got that the Blue Arrow Records down the street. And yeah, they're just really, really great old friends of ours. So
that's incredible. Because when we met and you guys were playing there, I was like, man, that's so wild. Like, it's such a niche little record store, but like, and man, you got an incredible. You travel a lot, so you're like spot
Yeah.
on with all the spots, man. Like, I was like, dang, John knows what's up.
Well, I've been there a lot, and I've gone and stayed, but they become close personal friends. They're great. I don't see them enough, which is sad. But when we play the music box, they always come and see us at the music box. We play the Beachland, they're always there. It's, I'm always offering, for us to stay. But when Joe Camarillo, the Waco's drummer, died in, I want to say it was 2021, so it's like 5 years ago now. Really, which I can't believe. But he was a big cat person, and he loved the cat sanctuary. So basically, all his royalties from the Waco brothers, we send it to them. And when any checks come through, we just give the money to, if any lump sums come through for special things, we give the money to the cat sanctuary. So, and there's a little shrine there as well, one of his snare drums. And if you go behind the Blue Hour Records, there's a little shrine to Joe right there. So for me, that's his kind of his final resting place.
That's beautiful. I was wondering what the tie through was there, but that's that's so cool on you guys, too, to send that, every time one comes over. You guys are the real deal, man. That's beautiful.
It's something, but that's the one thing I've got out of doing this is some really amazing friendships. So
Well, I gotta imagine, like, with as much as you're traveling and like all these different places that you guys constantly move, like, to even be able to like kind of start roots with like any like original band or any original outlet, you're meeting people that care along the way. So is it almost more like kind of like that's like the home in the sense?
I think it's been for a long time a community of people who are geographically challenged and stretched across the globe. So the reward is often us just all coming together and being able to hang out.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have this music thing we can do is like, we're pretty privileged in that sense. The fact that people will pay us money to go and do things is great, but it's better than us just like going on a cruise or something.
Yeah.
But it's a bunch of people who, gravitate to each other. And I don't know, I don't understand retirement, the idea of stopping doing something you love, I mean, I can understand if you've got a crap job and you want to look forward to retiring, then yeah, that's okay. But the way my life works is I really love what I do, and I love collaborating with other people, meeting new people as well, and just keeping it going,
Once you find that process, like it really is that, I don't know, the process of it to, I at least with my experience, the making of the record's more fun than everything else that follows it.
Yeah, that's we actually thought about that this year. It was kind of like, well, we can make a new record. Oh shit, I don't know where I'm going. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the airport.
Oh no, you're good.
And
Dude, you gotta do, my friend. I can hold on. You're fine, John.
All right, elevators, gates A13 to A22. All right, sorry.
Oh, no worries.
This is a totally new airport for me, and I'm like thinking I'm in the right place, so I sat down quite happily. And I'm not in the right place. A60. Wow. All right, I don't know. Right, hang on, I'm going into an elevator. Sorry about this.
Oh, no worries. We're on an adventure with John, man. Jon Langford.
Yeah.
On the Boston airport.
Yeah, I'm going to G. Yeah, that's where I'm going. We're going there. It's good. Yeah. Sorry, no, I'm in an elevator. But no, as you were saying, it's just the Mekons continue because we choose to, and it's come, with the sort of darkening political climate over here. It's been nice to be able to go out and play music.
Yeah.
I think I never really thought of that. We thought we were like agent provocateurs and kind of like, protest singers. And now it feels like we're kind of, I don't know, we're often kind of offering some kind of relief or something, or some sort of community or some, we're bringing people together so they don't feel quite so isolated in such a hostile climate.
Was it, it's interesting because like I feel like to some degree any songs of sanity are now protest songs. Like it's insane, but like the new record Horror is incredible, man. Like diving into this new record was like there was so many bits of like, I mean, which is very Mekon's, all these bits of different influence and like just like it struck me at the very beginning with like a lot of Clash influence or Mescaleros influence with the few tunes. Though I know
I'd honestly say that I think the Clash's work really stands up, and I don't know. It's just there's something fundamental about what happened in 1977, and Joe Strummer was kind of particularly instrumental in that. There was a lot of kids who were disaffected and didn't like boring virtuoso prog rock music. Were very into reggae music, and that was kind of like, I don't know, reggae music seemed so much more profound and sort of pop music, the glam rock, even glam rock, and it was very theatrical and stuff. And I kind of dug that, and it was kind of fun, and it was more like rock and roll. But reggae music kind of offered the politics, and it seemed like it was something kind of deeper and more adult. Yeah. A lot of pub rock was very much like drinking on a Saturday night, kind of Stone Age attitudes towards women, and not that doesn't exist in reggae music, but it was just something. Yeah, Strummer, really embodied that. There was this kind of love of reggae, and you kind of like it made white boy rock and roll kind of grow up, Yeah. And you saw what the black kids on the street in Notting Hill and London were actually having to deal with, full on like warfare with the police. And that was going on when punk rock was starting. I think it was kind of inevitable. It was like a historical moment where rock and roll was going to have to become more adult and deal with realities and politics and more head on. And that's where we found ourselves, And that's never gone away from me, to be honest. It's one of the reasons we do it.
There's not too much like serious reggae that dodges politics. Like when you go back to
but it's also this sort of there's a sort of profundity as well of
yeah,
the Old Testament heavy biblical stuff.
Yeah.
Which is the language of kind of hope under oppression,
Right.
And I don't know how much white kids felt identified with that, but we saw what was happening. And we saw the way things are going. And to be honest, politically, things have only got worse and worse and worse with the dominance of kind of greed, money over people. I was born into a socialist utopia, it feels like now. Post-war Britain under a Labour government that put money into housing and health and education. That's all been stripped away. And for what purpose? The only purpose is the greed of the rich and the powerful. So it's very confusing.
Yeah.
Or not confusing, perhaps that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Definitely messed up. No way around it being like corrupted and torn. But is that basic? Like, is that kind of why you guys came in with like a reggae track on Horror?
Horror. the title says it all, to be honest. And
Yeah.
that song's, you know, Steve Goulding plays the drums on that, and so he's a great, you know, white reggae drummer. He played with Elvis Costello. He's done amazing stuff. For me, that song's about Oliver Cromwell, British Empire, capitalism, you know, a bunch of stuff that people don't really think about, you know. Not even, I was surprised when I actually started looking into the real start of the British Empire, and you know, and yeah, it's a horrible mess, and it's got real parallels with the way we treat the rest of the world now, you know.
Like, even here in America, it's like you learn about the history of what came before, and you're like, oh my God, how can anyone don themselves as a hero once you learn about how horrible these like past events were that led to like what's happening now? You know what I mean? And then you look at what's happening now, and you're like, does that word even fall into any mouth that like can say it with like pride? And I don't believe so.
Well, I mean, like I said, I also grew up, you know, in a wealthy country.
Yeah.
You know, and the wealth was because we stole 400 years of stealing, you know.
Yeah.
That's the way the world is, you know, the economic power. It's because we went to other places and stole their resources. And we fight now. We fight to stop them, like Iran. That's the whole story of Iran.
Yeah.
You know, we took what we thought was ours, the oil, and it's hideous, you know. It goes on and on. It will keep going on. And all we can do is kind of point it out and try and, you know, I don't know. And it's almost like with the live shows, it's almost like try and provide some community and some breathing space so people can, you know, get their heads together, not just totally be assaulted the whole time by the right-wing propaganda and chaos that our own government is forcing upon us.
It's yeah. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like everyone that's not like kind of like who's objectively just looking at it can see how corrupt and how you know, how awful all this is. And it's like it makes me think of a conversation I had with Eugene Hutz from the band Go-Go Bardello, and like, you know, he's like, it was a different crazy time talking to him, and he kept going to what would Joe Strummer say? I keep going to what would Joe Strummer say? Yeah.
Well,
and like
I knew Joe Strummer.
I know, so that's why I bring that up. Like, you knew Joe.
He keeps Joe Strummer would say we keep. Same as the great British socialist Tony Benn would say, there's no final victory, there's no final defeat. There's only a struggle, and the struggle goes on. You have to decide which side of that struggle you're in. You've got to be brave and face it, you know. Yeah. So what did you get to hear? Have you got the dub album as well as the original album?
Yeah. And they're both incredible. Like, I guess what brought up I mean, I know you guys do dub and, you know, being influenced by reggae music and like the dub that would follow.
I just thought, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like a reggae album, but I think the process of dub was very informative to us all the way through our career. Like, as non-virtuoso musicians, the idea of creating dynamics in the music by dropping things all out rather than adding, you know, like stripping it down rather than layering it up was really fun. But there is 8 people in the band, and that's quite difficult. And where we recorded this album it doesn't sound like it now, but it was actually pretty live. So a lot of the stuff was recorded with 8 people sitting in a circle in a recording studio in Valencia, Spain. And the process of writing the songs was the process of recording. So we came with just little sketches of maybe a little tune, but they were arranging it, and a lot of the lyrics were written while we were there. And, you know, stuff was very, very basic kind of chord sequences were transformed, you know, with everyone playing. A lot of people playing kind of fairly unfamiliar instruments as well. Like Susie normally just plays violin, but she was playing electric piano. And Tom and Eric were both playing kind of keyboards that they don't normally play. Lou usually plays medieval instruments like the oud and the saz, like Middle Eastern instruments. But he was playing just telly. He just decided he should just play guitar the whole time. So he played telly and I played Strat. And so there's a lot of kind of like, dual guitar stuff going on that's probably, unusual for us or just different for us. So, yeah, but I think why we had some problems getting the thing mixed. And then we gave a few tracks to Tony to see what he could do. Because he's an old mate of Deputy Mekon, he's in the band, and he's the Cleveland boy, Pere. So we gave him the tracks, and then it was kind of being mixed simultaneously. And because he wasn't present at the recordings, it was really interesting the way what his reaction was to just getting a bunch of tracks. And we were sort of saying, don't feel constrained. Don't let us. We didn't tell him what we wanted. He just kind of brought the tracks up and kind of worked on them himself. And then it became obvious that it was like, this could be a really cool parallel project. And a lot of my favorite thing about, reggae was that sometimes a band would have put an album out there and they put out an entire dub album of it. And then, but rather than having celebrities come and remix different tracks and try and make them more pleasant for radio or more hip and modern, we let Tony just go with his instincts. And I think it's a harsher and darker version of the album that goes down some of the kind of paths that we avoided when we were mixing the regular album. So I think they're really good companion pieces. They don't repeat on each other,
Yeah, it's like an entirely different record. Like the tune "The Horse Has Escaped," like hits completely different on that dub remix. And is that one where Sally's playing piano?
I think Susie's playing piano on that.
Okay, because
Sally definitely did not play the piano
on that one. Okay, all right. Because listening through, what I love about the Mekons is you guys don't, there's no single genre. It's, it bounces everywhere. And but what the through line of it is, it's amazing. Because, and I, getting ready to talk with you again, I reviewed, I found a bunch of chats with you guys, and it seems like most of the Mekon music is written, or no, all of it is written together. Though, like how you said, you bring ideas, the end product happens when you guys are in the studio together or in the...
Yeah, there was no demoing. We used to demo songs.
Yeah.
And then we always liked the demo better than the way the song turned out. So we thought we'd skip that stage. When you're on a major label, you have to send them demos before they give you the money to go to the studio and record the album. But a lot of times that's kind of... Then you just sort of, refining something or making it more appealing to executives at a record company. And this, we don't have to kowtow to anyone now. We can just do whatever we want. So that was a really good feeling,
Yeah. And that's why this album slaps, man. This is
great.
I'm
glad you think so.
I immediately thought so. I was like, oh my God, when I got the link from Josh, I'm like, this is incredible. One tune I wanted to ask, and then the topic of horror and everything we were talking about before really falls into it, but the 5th track, War Economy, with the layout of that tune, one thing I really love about it is these scream response, which I think brings out the intensity of the song. But can you talk about the process of how that War Economy the song came together?
The song came together the night before we went into the studio at about 3 a.m, with me and Dave playing acoustic guitars and Tom saying he had an idea for a song. We just thought it needed something quite aggressive, so we wrote a kind of that sort of weird, simple little riff. And he was kind of writing the lyrics at the time. We went in the next day and so explained it to the band, and it came together very quickly. And it seemed obvious for me to go and like have a go, sort of toasting it a bit, It was just like a call and response. They put me in the far end of the studio with a microphone miles away from me and put the headphones on and said, just shout along, man, so.
That's incredible. It really brings the intensity to it, man. It's got that sound, so it definitely sounds like it was far off, and it literally was far off.
Yeah, it was a great room. It was a really big room, and then, Tom, I think he put a sort of vocal down live, and then we worked on it a bit, and he tightened it up a bit, but it's still, I don't know. It just felt like, this would be an interesting thing to do, just sonically as much as anything else, but it also emphasizes some of the words. The words are quite strange to that. I mean, it is about, the financial world and how our society is geared. Everyone's making money hand over fist because there's loads of wars going, and the FIFA Peace Prize holder is busy conjuring up more wars.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I mean, but, because like as a creative or as a person, we get bombarded with all this horrible shit happening. And like we brought up earlier, like there's not too much you can do. And like, I guess like, and one thing I find incredible is that like, as an artist, you have an outlet to say something, you have an outlet to observe, and you have an outlet to share that observation, and like, and as you were saying, as you guys are playing, you're kind of making these spaces where these people can come and be like, we're not the only people that see this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that, and there's a certain joy to the live performances, which I think is really valuable. And we also encourage people to sing along with the stuff. We have bits in the show where, people sing with us, and that's something I've really found is kind of incredibly positive when you sing with other people.
Yeah,
I really like that. I just like that, just getting people who can't sing.
Yeah,
people who don't think of themselves as singers just sing. It's great, and it's a different people. I don't know. People, birds sing, we sing, whales sing. It's a part of our nature. So,
I guess so. A couple thoughts on that. Like, it's one thing that's really interesting is our neurochemistry releases certain neurochemicals. I'm blanking on the name this morning. I think it's not oxytocin, but either it's basically a chemical that's only released in our mind when we have trust. And like one other time we see that. One other time neurochemists see it is when people sing together.
Oh, seriously? That's really amazing.
Yeah. I
didn't know that.
Oh gosh, I'm blanking on the term of it, and I would really land my point if I can remember it this morning. There's a wonderful book called "This Is Your Brain on Music" by Daniel Levitin. And that's where
I've heard of that book. Yeah.
Oh, he's a excellent writer.
Music is incredibly powerful, and I don't know. I'll be really interested to talk to you about how you do it and you apply it, because it is this language and it's so easy to collaborate. I'm a visual artist as well, and it's so hard. And I write as well, and it's also solitary and so kind of like pressured. And then music, it's just like this liberating thing. You just kind of get in a room with a bunch of people and you play or you sing, and especially if you deliberately set it up so that people don't feel intimidated and they don't feel like they can be part of it. I mean, that's the story of the Mekons, really. We were intimidated by 70s rock and roll business and didn't ever think we could be part of it. If it wasn't for bands like The Clash and the Sex Pistols, we would never have formed a group, I'd just still be sitting alone painting. But doing what we've done over these, last 47 years or something, 49 years, is it? I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, it's 2026. I mean, God. I'm kind of amazed I ever got here, but there you go.
A large part of just knowing you can do it, you know what I mean? And I think I read this quote from Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth that said, people pay to see us believe in ourselves. And I was like, you know, Kim knocked it out of the park with that one. Like, so much of like what I think inspires people in those moments is like, he can do it. Maybe I can do the thing. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's it. We used to say at the end of gigs when the first Mekons line up, we wouldn't say buy our new record. We would say, now go on and form a band. You know.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And that was the message from us. It wasn't about. I mean, really early on, we were like, we're not doing this because we think we're going to make hit records. We're doing this because it's of a deeper kind of, and we found out more about that, you know, like the traditions of functional music. And you didn't, you know, the bloody star train of the rock and roll business was, you know, something, it's almost like an aberration in the history of music. Music is for people and for, you know, it's for other reasons than accumulating money. So that's my excuse for never accumulating any money.
But I mean, well, I've always felt success is measured by what you aim to make out of it, you know, and like, I don't think what makes your music so potent with the Mekons and with the Waco brothers and with, and just your art and your writing in general, like, is because it isn't for that. It's not a cash grab. This is Jon and you're getting his heart and soul out of it. You know?
Well, that's pretty liberating. We've been on major labels a couple of times where there was pressure on us to succeed and make products that they could market. But really, we're really not in that position now, and it's very liberating to be able to just go, hey, we choose to do this, we choose to do what we want.
Come see me and you can go explore.
Oh, they're talking at me again. I think we're boarding.
All right. Well, Jon, man,
Do you think you got enough, or do you want to chat again?
I would love to chat again with you, my friend. You're definitely an inspiration for me. But I can definitely work with this to help promote the June show here in Cleveland.
Thank you, mate. That's brilliant. But yeah, I like to talk again. Like, I'm quite interested in what you do. I think that's really, really great.
Yo, Spike Spiegel here. You just listened to Zig at the Gig podcast. Keep riding the bebop. See you, Space Cowboy. Bang.